The mouthpiece is so important because it's what creates our sound. That's not the purpose of the saxophone. Purpose of the saxophone is to tell us what pitch that sound is.
Theo Wanne is one of the world's top authorities on saxophone mouthpieces. He's well known for his refacing work for great saxophone players like Joshua Redman, Chris Potter, and Eric Alexander, just to name a few. Nowadays, he produces his own line of professional saxophone mouthpieces inspired by the legendary handmade pieces he spent decades working on. I caught up with Theo at the Musikmesse in Frankfurt, Germany. We sat down and had a very interesting conversation about how saxophone mouthpieces are made, some of the new things that can be done thanks to new technology these days, and the spiritual journey that every saxophone player is on.
Actually, my major in college was musical improvisation as a spiritual path.
Whoa, see that's a separate video.
Musicians always talk about getting in the pocket or getting right
in the zone.
In the zone.
Yeah.
So when you do that, it's like no thought. You're just kind of in the flow, right? And as musicians, we get addicted to that experience, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So the study of, well, how do you get there? What is that? How can I live my whole life that way, right? Musical improvisation as a spiritual path. And all musicians know it, but they haven't really thought about it.
But
right?
that is like the spiritual path. I mean,
it
everyone's
is
on the spiritual path.
They
right?
are, absolutely.
But they don't necessarily think of it
as a
in
spiritual
those
path.
terms. You think of it in like a discipline or something you need to learn and study, go to school for.
But that's not what they're actually there for. I mean, if you're like, why are you really here? It's like, well, there's just a magic that I experience when I play, and it's like, and I'm addicted to that. And I'm like, and that's a healthy addiction.
Saxophone is your main instrument?
It is. Okay. But that ties into why I do what I do. Right. And so, in a nutshell, right, it's my job to make it as easy as possible for you, the musician, to get in the zone. It's to make the product that helps you be more creative than you ever have been. That's what gets me excited, and how I learned that was I started off as a mouthpiece refacer, right? So all the, guys in Philadelphia would come by, Joshua Redman, Eric Alexander, Chris Potter, Grover Washington Jr. Right? All these guys, they'd come over. Yeah, they do okay, yeah, and so they'd sit down like we are, and then they'd just say, okay, Theo, I'm close to my sound, but and so they say, okay, I need a little more edge, it's a little too bright, I need more resistance, I need a little darker, whatever, right? And I'd like take their mouthpiece, work on it, hand it back to them, and we just go back and forth until I got the, oh my gosh, that's my sound, that's me, that's what I've been searching for, right? And they'd get so excited. I got addicted to helping people have that response, healthy addiction.
Yeah,
so that's my version of the musicians feeling free with their equipment. So I get feedback like, I used to practice 2 hours a day, now I practice 4 hours a day because I'm just having such a great time, right? That's my dharma, that's my calling, that's why I do what I do. And so it's very tied to my product. Like, I can't really talk about my product without talking about this, at least just a little bit, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because that's why I'm in constant R&D mode. Totally fine if musicians don't like my equipment or sound better on something else, because then my ears perk up and I go, okay, play me your mouthpiece, play me mine,
That's an opportunity to learn.
That's right.
To get better at what you're doing.
And when I first came out with mouthpieces, I was primarily a tenor player. I can't say that now, but I was primarily a tenor player, and all these my tenor mouthpieces were an instant hit when I first came out. But the alto mouthpieces were an instant, pretty good. So, it's like, Nelson Rangel and Mindy Bear and, all these great, alto players switched over to my tenor mouthpieces. But they didn't switch over my alto. They said, well, it's good. I might use it here or there. So I was like, okay, help me. And they were like, sure. So they played their very favorite mouthpieces, which were all, honestly, custom done or refaced or something, right? But I listened and we worked, and so I spent about 3 years of heavy R&D trying to figure out, okay, so an alto mouthpiece is not a smaller version of a tenor mouthpiece.
Right,
okay,
right.
cross that off.
Just like a tenor is not a bigger version of an alto. I mean, it is, but when you approach that instrument, you gotta, people ask me all the time, I say, you gotta kind of approach it like it's a new instrument.
And it is, absolutely. And I would fully agree with that.
And that's why people have, I just sound like crap on tenor, or what am I doing wrong? I'm like, well, because you're playing it the same way you play alto.
Right, exactly, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn how to redesign a mouthpiece for alto.
And so then yesterday you were talking to me about the process, about the new technologies that are available now that you're implementing that helps you make a better product.
So since the time of Adolph Sax, like in 1846, right, mouthpieces have traditionally been made through casting processes. Okay,
right.
So both metal and rubber would use different types of processes, but they're still casting. Okay, so what that means is you've basically got a mold, right, which is like a negative of the mouthpiece, and then you inject or somehow get the material, hard rubber or liquid brass, so a liquid into that mold, and then it cures, and in that curing process it shrinks, and so that's why mouthpieces are never quite the same. So for, like in the lost wax process for metal mouthpieces, you basically have a mold, you create a mouthpiece that looks identical to the sample, right? But it's made out of wax. Then you make a mold of that, then out of ceramic, then you pour in the brass from liquid to then it solidifies as a solid. Then you crack open the ceramic, and then you've kind of got an approximation of what you started with. But everything that goes from liquid to a solid will change shape, and the thicker parts will shrink more, thinner parts will shrink less, everything moves. Hard rubber mouthpieces are the same way.
And then afterwards you take that, what came out, and you work on it by hand to get it as close as possible to what it's supposed to be.
That's right. And so that's been the traditional way of making mouthpieces, because like I have huge respect, you know, for like Autolink and Meyer, and because you're getting very complex shapes, large chambers, rounded inner sidewalls, at a very cost-effective price point, right? For me to do the same thing, though, I got known as a mouthpiece refacer for very high precision. So I'm shooting for extremely high tolerances, and these methods just simply don't work for me because I need consistency, right? So even my way of I make a product, I get feedback, and then from that feedback I improve the product and come out with the next one, which is why I have like Durga 1, Durga 2, Durga 3, about to come out with the Durga 4 on Alto, right? And all this comes from customer feedback, and I'm constantly improving product.
Do you still sell the older versions, or do they get discontinued?
No, they get discontinued, yeah. But the benefit to this is, you know, like I've got an iPhone, you know, and I want the newest, latest, greatest version, and if I'm doing my job right, as a product designer, I should be improving the product.
Yeah, and this is something that not a lot of mouthpiece makers are doing.
No, actually, no one else I can think of.
Is part of that, do you think, people not wanting to admit that there was something that needed improvement with the previous design?
Yeah, and I think part of it is kind of innocent in the industry, because when the mouthpieces first were made, you know, everybody was like, oh, handwork is the best. Right? And I'm an expert at handwork, so I'm fully, you know, I started off doing handwork, all my handwork on people's mouthpieces. And, you know, as a mouthpiece refacer, I learned how to basically improve any mouthpiece ever made, right? That was my expertise. You know, I went through a decade of obsession of like learning how to improve every vintage mouthpiece and, you know, what made them great, and that was my passion, and so that's where I got my expertise from. That's how I learned.
What were some of the ones that you did the most work on?
Autolinks for sure, Autolinks and Meyers. You know, so I you know, the guys would come in with their mouthpiece, you know, and Like Joshua Redmond would sit down with me and then I'd work on it, right? And then until he thought it was better. Not me, not until I thought it was better, but until the customers thought it was better. And that was the best research and development I could do, because it learned me to be very, kind of humble in the art, because I wasn't the one deciding what was good.
When it was finished, right?
Yeah, it was my customers. And then it wasn't until my customers there was a consistency happening. Oh, every time I see one, I know now. Like, so when I travel and I give clinics, oftentimes I'll reface for people. They'll just hand me the mouthpiece. I'll work on it. I know what it needs now because I worked on so many. I hand it back to them and then they're like, I didn't know you could make that better.
And then as you're selling these to many customers, you're getting lots of more feedback from many different people. And then you can say, a lot of people are saying this and this. In the new version, we're going to correct that.
Exactly. And because of the way I'm doing with the machining, and I can get consistency in the product, right, where you don't have to play. I mean, one benefit is you don't have to play 10 to find one you like, right? That's one benefit. Yeah. But the second benefit is I get to do research and development. I know people are getting exactly what I'm trying to do.
Right, and it's not just, that one was a fluke.
That's right.
So you can't, we can't be concerned with that feedback because that mouthpiece just didn't come out the way we wanted it to.
That's right. And so if somebody gives me feedback, I know it's direct feedback according to what I intended to do.
Right.
So if they give me feedback, and I kind of have synesthesia, I see shapes and colors along with sound. And so this has really helped me in designing, because now when people play, I see the shapes of the chamber and the sidewalls and the floor and the baffle. With years of developing my CAD models are a direct reflection of my brain, and my brain's a direct reflection of my CAD models.
What is a CAD model?
Okay, computer-aided design. So that's where you see a 3D rendition of the mouthpiece, but in a computer simulated model, right? So you'd see it on a computer screen and it would just look exactly like this. You'd see all the shapes, all the angles, and it's exactly what you're getting.
And at what point did people start using that for mouthpiece making?
It's been used for a long time, but generally. Not specifically, meaning to finish the outside of a mouthpiece or to make a blank, like many mouthpiece makers are using that. But then they have to do handwork to finish the baffle, or handwork to finish some part of the mouthpiece. But once they do that, there's no way to get the consistency, right, to constantly improve the model. Right?
That's your addiction.
That's my addiction and my passion and my commitment to my customers. And it's fun. I love making something that sounds better and better. And I'm constantly hitting the part where, like, okay, there's no way we can make this better. There's just no way. And then, I'll literally have a dream, or I'm a meditator, so I'll just be meditating. And then out of nowhere, I just see this flash of a picture of a design, and then I call up my CAD designer and I'm like, we got to meet. So we then get together, we make a new model, and and there's a little like magic in there that's beyond my understanding. It's like he was just telling me before I got here, he was like, I don't know how you do that. How do you just make a model and then you just know the next thing to do and how it's going to sound? And a little bit, I have some knowledge, but a little bit's beyond my understanding as well.
Like maybe improvisation.
It's my form of improv.
I can explain what I'm doing, but I can't explain everything and why this solo was so good.
Where did that great idea come from?
Right.
I don't know, but it's my job as a musician to allow it to come. And so if we get as a musician, we get lost in our mind and we're thinking about the chord changing, we're thinking about what the audience is doing, we just missed it.
And that's where
we missed the boat.
Comes in, and just letting go.
That's right.
And turning the brain off, like in improvisation, can result in now I'm getting the thing I've been searching for.
And you let something bigger than you take over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to debate what that is. I'm just going to, let's say, we all know that experience.
Right.
I don't care about spirituality. I care about that. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's a real bona fide experience we can all relate to on some level.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in.
been great talking with you.
Yeah, you
Thanks
too.
so much.
Theo gave me a couple of his mouthpieces to try out at home. I'll be doing some comparison videos with them soon. I can say that they are exceptionally well made with precision, and they do play amazingly. Theo Wanne's website, theowanne.com, has a lot of great information about mouthpieces, how to choose the right tip opening for you, the different parts of the mouthpiece. And of course, you can find out all about his different products, his different mouthpieces available. So head over to theowanne.com if you want to find out more. I put a link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the thumbs up button. If you like this sort of content and would like to see more of it, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon to get notifications when I upload new videos. I'd love to hear from all of you in the comments section below. Let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about in this video. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon in another BetterSax video.
That's the last to make us feel the most like us.
Obviously.
Yeah. So if you've got a lot of mouthpieces, you're not crazy.
Like that one too.